Greetings. Today we're going to talk about 10 fitness cheat codes I wish I knew back in my 20s. If you are watching this video, I'm assuming you are over 30. Some of y'all are ready to throw the towel in, think you're never going to get back to your peak, right? I used to think the same in my early 20s, doing a bunch of goofy ass shit, not seeing results. Miles of running with a weighted vest, thousands of crunches, eating salads, thinking that was the key to change. Year after year, I ended up disappointed because my body looked flabby, soft, and frail. After suffering through that, I was able to make the change, get ripped, and I've been able to stay ripped now for 10 years. I'm gonna give you guys all the cheat codes that I've been able to acquire to reach my best physique to date in my 30s and teach it to hundreds of guys. As a matter of fact, you stay to the end, I got a free gift for you. Let's get into it. Cheat code number 1, tempo training. Biggest problem over 30 is focusing on lifting heavy and having either one, the fear that they gonna fucking hurt themselves if they lift too heavy or tweak something or angle themselves a certain way or experience pain in joints and tendons. They've beat up the joints and tendons over the years using improper form. It don't gotta be that way. There's a better way. Let me tell you how. We have to address the 5 ways to encourage muscle growth. One is volume, how many reps, sets with a certain amount of weight. 2 is frequency, how frequently you train a muscle in a week's time. 3 is tempo, right? This is how much time your muscles are under tension. 4 is rest periods. 5 is intensity, how much perceived exertion you're putting your body through. The tempo aspect to skyrocket your success is as simple as slowing that shit down, right? Think about when you in bed with your lady, right? You in that special moment, you giving it to her. A young gun would be thinking only about thrashing, hitting as hard as he can. But as you age and listen, you realize it ain't about thrashing fast. It's about taking your time, feeling that motion and hitting proper spots. Same in the gym. Feel the muscle working through each part of the contraction. When it comes to muscle contraction, it's 3 parts. You have the concentric, the eccentric, and the isometric. So in layman's terms, concentric is the positive, eccentric is negative, isometric is where you hold. An example, doing a squat starts with eccentric, squatting down, putting your butt in that bucket, pause. The isometric portion holding at the bottom, concentric is coming up out of the hole. To elevate results with the same weight, slow it down. Descend from top to the bottom for somewhere maybe around 3 to 5 second count, and then you hold at the bottom, counting again for 3 to 5 seconds. Real seconds, guys. Mississippi count seconds. Ain't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4. Taking your time to hold that isometric portion at the bottom, then back to the top in a 3 to 5 second count. This is a great technique you can use with almost any exercise. Pull-ups, rows, presses. You can intensify the way it feels. Put your muscles under tension longer. Force the muscles to be incorporated more, the tendons and the ligaments. If you incorporate that in your workout this week, it's gonna humble you because you're gonna realize I'm not as strong with this weight. Maybe I need to slow it down and focus on feeling those muscles working instead of doing all this swinging and jerking and just throwing the weights around like a madman attempting to hurt yourself. Code number 2 is sleep. Sleep is legal steroids. The one thing that if you increase and optimize now, you'll build more muscle next week. Most don't think about it as it relates to muscle building and fat loss, but it's one of the pillars because you don't build muscle or lose fat in the gym. You do it when your body's recovering from the signal you sent in the gym. The purpose of training is to send a signal to the body to adapt and change. But that adaptation doesn't happen if you don't recover, optimize, and get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Studies show people who get 7 to 8 hours of sleep versus people who get 6 hours or less actually experience 30% more progression with fat loss and even muscle growth. If you're not getting optimal sleep, you're leaving gains on the table. That leads us into cheat code number 3, which is having a sleep routine. Most of you don't think about how you set up for sleep. You just lay in your bed, You swiping around Tinder or Bumble or Hinge. You out here on Instagram scrolling. You watching YouTube videos. You're not serious about sleep. What you want to do is have an environment that is conducive to sleep. Set up for bedtime, right? I used to be guilty of this too, because for a very long time when I was a kid, I used to hate being told what to do. I was a rebellious young man. When I was told I had a bedtime, one of the most exciting things for me becoming an adult was nobody could ever tell me what my bedtime was. So I just started being what you would call a night owl. When I was in college, I would pride myself on pulling all-nighters on projects, not going to sleep, staying up all night and sleeping through the morning if I had afternoon classes. That mentality is what a lot of you got to break free from. All the shit that you think that you doing late at night, you can just do early in the morning undisturbed. I treat sleep like an appointment with myself. Okay, so I set a bedtime in my phone, schedule that appointment, and an alarm goes off an hour before that time. And so what happens is it's not like an afterthought. It's not, oh, I'm gonna get around to sleep. No, I gotta get ready for sleep just the same way that I get ready for an appointment with a client or going to the gym. I'm prioritizing it and setting my space up for sleep. A lot of you guys are watching TV and scrolling on your phone, not realizing you're sending a signal to your brain to stay awake. Artificial light, blue light from the phone, TV, and laptops tells your body the sun is still out. You need to be active and awake, but it's not the sun. I bought a blue blocker glasses, the dorky ones with orange, put over my glasses an hour before bed, and that's how I start telling my brain, hey, you're actually starting to get ready for bed. The sun is not out. Calm down. You tell your body to start producing melatonin when you put on blue blockers. A few more tips for sleep. Ensure your environment is optimized. What's best is being in a cold room between 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit after you've done a hot shower, because something about that contrast and your pores being open actually gets your body in a more relaxed state. Make the room as dark as possible. That tells your brain it's time for sleep. I love when I go to a resort or some Airbnbs and they have the blackout curtains, right? Because the blackout curtains, it just takes that sleep to a whole nother level. Goal number 4 is intermittent fasting. I used to think of it as a diet hack, and it's just so much more than that. Not only does it help you lose more fat, build more muscle, because it optimizes hormones for that, but it instills mental fortitude to resist, right? So it improves your cognition from the standpoint of how your body actually gets energy. So your body can run off not just glucose, but also ketones from fat cells. Think about how much fat we have versus energy from food. 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. 3,500 calories is 2 days worth of meals for most of you motherfuckers watching. And so when you think about it from that aspect, the amount of energy, the amount of pounds of energy on your body is in abundance. When your body's running off food energy, glucose, that is limited. That becomes depleted quickly, especially if you're active. When you condition your body to run off its own ketones in a longer fast, you notice consistent energy. And you start to get into these flow states where you're able to accomplish more, less time. But not only that, it encourages a caloric deficit, best for longevity. If you're in a calorie deficit more times than not, you're gonna live a longer, healthier life. The vegans and the keto dorks will tell you, hey man, you gotta give up a whole food group. But what if you didn't have to? You just spend a day per month not eating, drinking water, letting your body intermittent fast. What I've been doing the last few years that really just not only helps me feel more energetic, more vibrant, but gives me more clarity is once a week I do a fast, 24 to 48 hours, and every month I do a 72-hour fast. If you want more videos on how to do extended fast properly, comment below. Key code number 5 is mobility training. Most people don't know what mobility is. They confuse it with flexibility, which is just being able to move through an entire range of motion. A baby is flexible, but a baby is not mobile. Mobility refers to having strength through an entire range of motion. So being able to move through the range of motion of a particular muscle or a particular movement, but having strength and integrity with that so that you don't have aches and pains and potentially hurt yourself. Encourage more mobility. Tempo training is a great way to do it, emphasizing each part of the muscle contraction. Another way is mobility training. Before lifting, we do about 3 mobility movements for the entire body or muscle group focus on that day. And what that does is it just emphasizes priming the muscles to actually perform in that session even better, as well as encouraging strength through the entire range of motion of the movements. Cheat code number 6 is walking. I underestimated walking for so long because I was doing so much of it. People say when you get over 30, it gets harder to lose weight, but is that really true? When it comes to fat loss, for example, you only have to burn more calories than you consume. The rules don't change when you're over 30. What changes how many calories you're actually burning in your 30s, right? So one thing that walking encourages caloric burn more frequently. When I started my business in my early 30s, coaching people one-on-one, I noticed that for the first time to get lean, it felt a little more challenging. I wasn't tracking my steps because in comparison to what I used to do in my 20s, I was not moving that much. Most of my day was in front of a laptop. Back to college, it was easy to be lean because on a big campus, I used to walk to class every day, not realizing I was getting tens of thousands of steps a day. It takes me now, since I've been tracking it, about 90 minutes to get 10,000 steps, where I was younger and I thought that it was easier to get lean because I was walking more. A lot of you think it's so hard now that I'm over 30, but it's not that it's hard. It's just, you just ain't moving that much, man. You got a motherfucking desk job, right? You in the car most of the day, right? Track how much you move now versus back then. You see a drastic difference. To change that is just start tracking your steps. Start looking at how much steps you're actually getting per day and look to scale that number up. You'll notice it's easier to get lean or stay lean year round. Number 7 is restaurant food trap. Learn how to track foods for the first time. You have blinders on from the perspective of what goes into the foods that you're eating. When you eating at home, you can be much more deliberate and controlled with how food is prepared. Adding butter, oils, or sauces, you have full control over that, and you're likely going to be more controlled with that when you're looking to, let's say, diet down for fat loss. At restaurants, they're packing the food with calories, butters, oils, sauces, and different types of seasonings just to ensure that you love coming back to this. That's why restaurant food tastes better than the shit that we make at home, because it's loaded with additional calories. And what I often do now that I eat out at restaurants a few days a week, right? Because it's definitely a part of my lifestyle, being in a relationship, having clients that come into town and wanting to meet with them, meeting up with friends. I overshoot my calorie estimates. I travel with a food scale, right? So I'll go to the restaurant, I'll get a steak and veggies, keep it simple. I'll weigh my steak so I know how many ounces I'm getting, and the green veggies maybe, right? I might just assume you're serving the green veggies because those calories are so low. But then what I'll do is, like, in my fitness tracker, I'll log a serving or even a double serving of oil. So the estimate is higher than what I see in front of me. I would rather come up short on my calorie estimate than overshoot, because I don't want to have this illusion that, man, I'm spot on with my calories and macros. Why I ain't lose weight this week? Motherfucker, them calories that you had at the restaurant is not the same as at home. Cheat code number 8 is prioritizing protein. The importance of protein, I think everybody knows, is tied to muscle growth, muscle retention. It has an indirect tie to fat loss because you'll actually lose more fat over time if you have a faster metabolism, which muscle helps with. It keeps you satiated. If you just eat a significant amount of your protein as it relates to your lean body mass, you won't have these desires. I barely see myself wanting cake, cookies, and some pies. Because when I look at my goal for the day for protein, it says, oh man, you gotta have 180 grams. Having cakes, cookies, and pies is a waste because it's not getting me closer to that goal. I would rather eat a few large portions of protein, knock out that goal, and then maybe have some sweets. Oftentimes, you learn that you don't have that desire when you're eating the amount of protein that's appropriate to you. Not to mention, when it comes to satiety, protein digests slower and it's more food that you get to actually eat. So I eat more than a lot of people who are fatter than me, but the foods I'm eating are high volume. It's a bunch of food on your plate, but the calories are lower than the bullshit that you guys are eating that's heavily processed. Cheat code number 9 is less meal. Less meals has been one of the saving graces of my journey, because now that I'm over 30, now that I own my own business, that I got team members, employees, clients, a leader of men, people are counting on me to be present. Last thing I want is eating 5 to 6 times a day if I have other things that I need to be doing. So I used to have this belief, because it had been perpetuated so much in the fitness industry, really your body doesn't care how many times you ate. It just cares that you get the appropriate nutrients with your goal. A lot of the times I'm eating 2, 3 big meals within the day. I'm condensing them into a time where it's appropriate for me. Having a system helps me do that consistently. Cheat code number 10 is have a system. A lot of you are winging it with your fitness, nutrition, with your training, and that's why you're getting random results, right? Random actions get you random results. So random eating and random training have you out here with a random body. If you want to get off that random path and get on a structured path, you need a structure. You need a roadmap. Let's say you're going on a road trip to somewhere you've never been. What's the first thing you do? Get in your car, put the address into your GPS. The GPS gives you a systematized approach to that destination. You can travel those roads with confidence and clarity that, hey, as long as I stay on this path, I'm going to get to where I want to get to. It's the same with your fitness journey. You need a roadmap. You need a path, right? You need to systematize the things that are important, right? When you get into the gym, what time you get into bed, how many calories you're going to have, your macros, how you're going to get those calories. What's your system around preparation or having somebody else prep, right? What is gonna be the things that you do when you reach a certain point and have to make an adjustment because the body's constantly adapting, right? If you don't have the answer to those questions, I got good news for you. I'm gonna give you my free system, the 50 and 5 month formula. This is the exact strategy that I utilized to lose 50 pounds in 5 months, and now teach it to hundreds and hundreds of guys ever since, and help them get ripped, stay ripped, and increase confidence, quality of life, and become the best version of themselves. Hopefully this was helpful, and if you want that free system, it's in the description of the video. Until next time, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.